Today, boys and girls, today we'll be learning about subordinate clause and main clause. Welcome to class. A clause is a group of words which contains a subject and a verb. We can call a simple sentence a clause. Here are more examples of clauses. Wait for me. Is lunch ready yet? The girl standing to Garrick is Patrick Daly's sister. If a clause makes sense by itself, we call it a main clause. The previous examples are main clauses. However, many sentences contain clauses which do not make sense by themselves. Example: whenever it rains. Unless you pay. We call these clauses dependent or subordinate clauses because they can't stand by themselves. A main clause is like a mother, and a subordinate clause is like a baby on the mother's back. The baby cannot survive without the mother. Similarly, we do not use a subordinate clause by itself in written work. It's always used with a main clause. For example, soccer match usually stops whenever it rains heavily. The main clause a soccer match usually stops can stand by itself, but the baby clause whenever it rains heavily cannot stand by itself. Now, you can't take goods out of a store unless you pay for them. So the main clause is you can't take goods out of a store. It can stand by itself. Unless you pay for them is a subordinate clause that cannot stand on its own. It needs something else. So thus the mother clause and the baby depending on the mother. So the main clause would be the mother and the subordinate would be the baby. The baby cannot survive on its own without the mother. Another example. The game will start again when the rain stops. Again, the main clause, the game will start again. That can stand by itself. When the rain stops, can't stand by itself. So it is depending on the main clause. So thus dependent or subordinate clause. We can put a subordinate clause before or after a main clause. So the subordinate clause doesn't directly have to come after the main clause at all times. It can come after or before. A soccer match usually stops whenever it rains heavily. Whenever it rains heavily is a subordinate clause, and we see where it comes after the main clause right here. Another example. Heavily, a soccer match usually stops. So now we're seeing where the subordinate clause comes in front of the main clause, right? But it is always separated by a comma. So you will easily identify it. When subordinate clauses, as I said previously, comes before its main clause, we usually separate the two clauses by using a comma. Thank you guys for watching. Bye for now. You'll be getting the activity to do in the Google Classroom. Thank you guys for watching. Catch up with you.